5 essentials for managing the support team that will allow you to have a multi-million-dollar online business. Hi everybody, I'm Doug Daniel, and I am very lucky. I am fortunate enough to be both a retired Silicon Valley executive and retired Army colonel. Now I get to do what I love, help others succeed. I can do this because I am a full-time internet marketer. Now, the simple fact is that the more you make, the easier it is for you to get your message out. In this video, we talk about how to manage the support team you need to get your monetized message out. Since all high six-figure and seven-figure online businesses have a support team, you need one. You need to think like a manager because you are running a business. That requires different skills and a different mindset than just being an online internet marketer. Online businesses that are managed like businesses from day one punch through the barriers that stop others. I'd like to show you the skills needed in every one of these very diverse circumstances. Building roads and bridges for the Corps of Engineers with a team of 160. Fighting in Vietnam with a team of 750 United States and Vietnamese Army Rangers. Developing software for aircraft simulators with a team of 35 software engineers. Conducting internet R&D projects for the University of California with a team scattered over 4 countries. President of a 150-member 10-airplane flying club. Director of engineering for a Silicon Valley high-tech company. Commanding a Army Reserve battalion. Commanding all special operations forces on Haiti during Operation Restore Democracy. Managing programs for a billion-dollar Silicon Valley high-tech company. Managing a startup. Managing a charity in Hungary with members who included Hungarians, a Romanian, Austrian, German, and American. And now running a online info product. So I drew some conclusions with all of these about a certain skills that were required in all of these environments. But first let me tell you the turning point in my life, the thing that caused me to have a passion about management and leadership. It was returning from Vietnam. Now imagine that you are responsible for 750 lives, that when you make a mistake it costs a life, not just dollars, and then within a week you are treated with scorn, you are reviled, and you are called a baby killer. It's not a surprise that I was determined to return to what I love, helping others succeed. And I truly believe that this is what management and leadership is, helping others succeed. So what does it take to manage a team? Well, you have to be committed and demand commitment. That's the most important in my mind. Look for a win-win everywhere, measure and estimate routinely, empower your team to succeed, and communicate very well. Okay, being committed is the most important. I've already said that. And being committed to your team is the most important of all those you may be committed toward. The reason that I believe passionately that being committed to your team is important is because of a very emotional thing that happened to me, which is probably the high point of my professional career. I was a young, fuzzy-faced second lieutenant in Germany. My platoon had been assigned the task of bridging a river in the middle of the night by hand and quietly. So we were all hot and sweaty, even if it was wintertime and the snow was blowing and the work site was knee-deep in mud. So it became obvious to me that we were not going to finish before dark 30, so I gave Corporal Wells all of the money in my wallet, told him to go to the village, buy all the ice cream sandwiches he could. At midnight I called a halt, passed out the ice cream sandwiches, and much to my amazement, these hard, grisly old sergeants who had been in the Army longer than I had been alive had tears in their eyes because I had told them sincerely and unambiguously that I cared about them and I was going to take care of them. I bonded with that platoon in a way that you can't imagine. In fact, when I was ordered to go to Vietnam, two members of my platoon, Wells and Foote, asked me if they could go to Vietnam with me. I, of course, told them I couldn't guarantee that they would be with me and to not do anything crazy. You have to be committed to your customers. You have to feel their pain when they fail, and you have to be exhilarated when they succeed. Likewise, you need to be committed to your business partners, affiliates, outsourcers, etc. And you need to be committed to excellence. This doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, just better than anybody else. Always try to find a win-win in every situation, especially with your team members, certainly with your affiliates and other business partners, and also with your customers. Measure and estimate routinely. You have to measure the critical things, because if you don't measure them, you don't know whether your decisions were brilliant or stupid. You cannot manage anything if you don't measure it. But there's another very strong reason, and that is that your team will focus on what you measure. So this is a way of communicating priorities to your team, and this is a way of finding out if your team understands what you want to do. Also, you need to measure, or you can't estimate things accurately, and certainly you can't schedule, you can't bid on contracts, or whatever else you need to do if you can't make an accurate estimate. So you need to empower your team. That means don't do the team's job for them, because that tells them you don't respect them, you don't value them, and you don't think they can get the job done themselves, and it wastes your time. Why do you have them if you're going to do their work for them? So specify your outcome and don't suggest a procedure unless you need to. Don't tell them how to do things. Let them do things their way. There's nothing wrong with making a suggestion if it looks like they don't know quite how to do it. But the important thing is they can do things better than you often because they have a fresh set of eyes, and maybe they're smarter than you are. So there's nothing wrong with letting them do things their way. It empowers them. Encourage members to suggest solutions outside of their areas. This is important because they can come up with ideas that you haven't thought of. It forces them and encourages them to think at the big picture, and you want them to be thinking about how do we as a team succeed, not how I as an individual. And if you find that you have team members that are very reluctant to think outside of their little box, you should consider replacing them. Now here's the golden nugget. Negotiate informal contracts with team members. This is your way of knowing whether you communicated effectively with them. It is your way of forcing them to plan and to think about what they want to do. And if they say, I can fulfill these specifications within this time frame if you give me these resources, and you say, yes, go for it, then they're committed. It's their project instead of something being imposed on them. So you need to communicate well with all who might be affected, clearly and simply. Verify that you're understood. I've told you how to do that. Be language and culturally sensitive, and be regular and predictable. So these are my top 5 list. They aren't the only thing that you need to do, but if you do this, it could very well make the difference between $50,000 a year and $500,000 a year. Thank you very much, and we'll talk later.